A few months ago, I Googled the word success and I got close to 3 billion results. Then I did something logical and I Googled how to be successful. And I got only 1/3 of the results. That made me realize that our understanding of success, our understanding of how to be successful, pales in comparison with our understanding of success per se. Success is something that we all crave for. We live for success, we obsess about success, we marvel at people who are successful, we live for success, and in some cases we die for success. But you ask anybody around you, it could be people in your own family, it could be your friends, it could be your colleagues, it could be your relatives. Ask anybody, are you successful? And the answer invariably would be a very confident no, or it could be a tepid no, or it could be maybe, or it could be depends. Success, although stays with us as a desire for so long, we never ever seem to think we are successful. Why is that? I believe that is because our definition of success itself is inaccurate or unclear in most cases. Just imagine running a race where you don't know why you are running it for. Success is something like that. Just imagine how beautiful the race of success would be if we actually knew what we were running after. So what exactly is success? I want to share 2 stories here. The first story is about Alexander the Great. As Alexander the Great was on his deathbed, he called his army generals and gave them 3 instructions. He said, when I die, firstly, make sure my best doctors carry my body. Secondly, make sure that all the money, the wealth that I have earned is strewn on the paths of the city as my body is being carried along. And the third thing that he wanted his generals to do is to keep his hands out of the coffin. Essentially, what he was trying to say is that money, wealth, and the other attachments that one has for success is not really success. Let's look at the second story. Long ago, there was a monastery, and one evening, there was a lot of chaos and confusion in the monastery. Word spread around that one of the monks had attained enlightenment. The whole monastery rushed towards him and they sought his audience, and everybody had only one question that they asked the young monk. How do you feel now? How do you feel now? How do you feel now? And the monk had only one reply: as miserable as ever. So even enlightenment doesn't seem to be success. So neither riches are success, nor is enlightenment success. So what exactly is success? Over the last 3 years, I have spent more than roughly about 10,000 hours working with some incredible people. I've also had the opportunity to study people who are acclaimed to be successful. And based on my study, I have come up with a simple framework for success, which has 5 tenets. Now, are there more tenets? Probably yes. There may be 95 more. But for me, these 5 are important because they are simple and they are powerful. What is the first tenet for success is something that I would want you to help me with a small activity. For the next 30 seconds, I would want you to close your eyes and think of people whom you can rely on completely. People who will support you irrespective of anything that happens in your life. Your time starts now. Thank you. Now, as you went through these 30 seconds, my request is please live these 30 seconds again and ask yourself one simple question. Did I spend more time recollecting people, or did I spend more time counting people? That, I believe, is the determinant of success. Successful people are successful, I strongly believe, because they have people that they can rely on. Be it business, be it art, be it politics, be it sport. The people who are successful because they have people they can rely on. When we see successful people, we tend to see them in terms of the wealth they accumulate, the buildings they have, the cars they have, the vacations they take. But successful people accumulate only one thing: people that they can rely on. And they do it very well. So how do I now become successful? How do I get people to rely on me? Is there an app that I can download which will make everybody rely on me? Well, there is no app as yet, but I believe there is a simple framework that has 5 tenets which can help one become successful. And the simplest way to become successful, the simplest way to have people that you can rely on, is to become the person that others can rely on. Just imagine how successful you would be if your name was written by everybody when they think of the people that they can rely on. So how does one become this person that others can rely on, and in turn one becomes successful? The first tenet to that is self-realization. Self-realization, in my definition, is being comfortable sitting with what you stand for. Self-realization is the thorough understanding of what drives you, your thoughts, your beliefs, your motives, and your actions. It also is getting comfortable with what people think of you because of the way you interact with them. Let me narrate a small story here. Long ago, there was a magician who had a mouse. The mouse was afraid of the cat. So the magician turned it into a cat. Now the cat was afraid of the dog. The magician turned it into a dog. Now the dog was afraid of the panther. The magician turned it into a panther. Now the panther was afraid of the hunter. By now the magician had got fed up and he turned it back into a mouse and said, I can't do anything with you because at heart you are a mouse. Self-realization is the key. It helps you assimilate and get comfortable with what you are and how people perceive you. Armed with self-realization, one goes to the second tenet, which is humility. Now, humility kind of seems contradictory in a world where aggressiveness is celebrated, but humility has its own advantages. Humility doesn't mean one is meek. Humility doesn't mean sitting in the dark corner of the room. Humility is being who you are. Humility is a strength. Whenever I talk of humility, I am reminded of this beautiful story about George Washington. Once George Washington and his friend wanted to go on a ride. They mounted their horses and they rode along. And on the way they encountered a wall. As they jumped the wall, some of the stones on the wall fell. George Washington was not comfortable with this. He stopped his horse, put back the stones. His friend saw that and said, "George, you're too big to do this." And George Washington said, "No, I think I'm the right size to do this." Humility defines you. Humility completes you. Armed with self-awareness and humility, what does one do next? One opens up one's mind and one is confident of accepting information, of realizing what information can do for us. When I talk of information, I'm not talking about what we read in religious texts or other textbooks or business literature or what we read on the net, etc. Information, in my view, is understanding the interlinking between each one of us. Information is realizing how interdependent we are on each other for our success and for others' success. In this connection, I want to talk about this brilliant initiative that Ratan Tata launched in 2011, where he instituted an award in his company for the best failed idea. He did not perceive people who failed as someone who was not successful. He perceived these people as also someone who could provide something, who were closely interlinked with what his organization stood for. Their ideas too were valued, accepted, and he became better, his organization became better, and people became better. That is the power of information. So what does one do with all the information that one gets? Use it as feedback. Now, feedback is a common thing. We all get it every day, every minute, every second. But how much of it do we take in? Successful people crave for feedback. Successful people have feedback for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, and maybe even after that. Once upon a time, a few years back, Sachin Tendulkar was in Chennai. And one of the waiters in the hotel came up to him and said, "The elbow guard that you are wearing is restricting your bat swing." Sachin said, "Yes, let me think over it." And he actually realized it indeed was affecting his backswing. He was only thinking about how uncomfortable the elbow guard was for him. He did not think about how uncomfortable his batting was. He immediately got his elbow guard changed, its design modified, and he could see a drastic improvement in his batting. Feedback is something that successful people thrive on. Coming to the last tenet, what does one do with all the feedback that one gets? One takes action. And what action is this? One takes sustained action. How many of you have heard of Usain Bolt? Almost all of us. Here is a guy who runs so fast that even I am inspired to get out of my sofa sometimes. How many of you know that Usain Bolt has a medical condition that his spine is curved. A condition characterized by severe pain of the spine, a condition characterized by difficulty in standing or sitting for long periods of time, a condition characterized by severe breathing difficulties. In spite of these challenges, he is successful and he is where he is. He utilized the services of a chiropractor who would work on his body and keep him in shape. So was taking action in Usain Bolt's case utilizing the services of a chiropractor? No, I don't think so. The difference, the key to his success was he used to use the services of this chiropractor even when he would not race. That is where the power of sustained action comes in. Taking action is important, yes, but to be successful, one needs to take sustained action, even when the mind tells you, no, you need not do it today. So in essence, self-realization, humility, information, feedback, and taking action are critical for success. Success is just a journey, friends. It takes you from one path to the other. It pushes you, it cajoles you to become better, to realize yourself. And these 5 tenets will help you bring that shift in your life. And that shift is the success that we all crave for. I believe this is a beautiful message that ought to be shared with everyone. I have done my job by sharing it with you. I do hope you will share it with others. Thank you.